Right, so I thought I'd do a version of my laptop video because I thought the first one was pretty crap, and a few people were asking me about Macs and such things, so I thought I'd add a few bits and we'll go from there. So I want to run through a few quick sort of things, and we'll cover Mac OS and Macs at the end, because I know a few of you are sort of are thinking about that. So brands to avoid then. I know I have done this before, but we will touch over that again. So brands to avoid. Samsung, Dell and Toshiba. I had to think about that then for a second. Three of those brands I've seen in my line of work and I've seen reviews on and stuff like that, and they're crap based on several things. A, cost, B, build quality, C, customer support. All those three I would say pretty crap on most fronts. Dell's unique because Dell does some ridiculously good business line stuff. I mean, they do some fantastic servers and they do some fantastic business line desktops and stuff like this. But you know, monitors fantastic. I've got two Dell 24-inch monitors, fantastic, and the customer support for that is amazing. The customers are in this shit. They couldn't give a crap about customers and stuff like that. Yes, you can customise them, but I don't think it's really worth it, to be honest. You may as well just go onto eBuyer and search for that, which I'll cover later on. So Dell, Toshiba and Samsung you want to avoid. Then there's some unique brands, which again I did cover in the last video, but I will recover. Brands like VAIO, Lenovo, well yeah, pretty much VAIO and Lenovo, to be honest. VAIO's very good, but when you go down low, so you're spending less than 500 quid or roughly about 500 quid, the build quality is crap. Well, just the overall experience is just rubbish. I mean, I don't know whether or not I haven't got my laptop out to actually show you the one that I've got. It cost me 750 quid. Fantastic, Core i5, you know, 8 gigs of RAM, fantastic machine. Build quality is amazing, and it looks really good. But if you look at the lower end, they're really cheap and nasty, and they're brightly coloured, and they just don't look. They don't look very nice. They are very cheap, but at the same time, that's the whole point. They're supposed to look cheap, and well, they're supposed to be cheap. And when people were buying laptops, they tend to spend roughly about 500 quid anyway. Well, when people are spending desktops as well, they spend about 500 quid. Unless you spend, unless you're doing, you want something for a specific purpose, like if you were gaming or if you were video editing and stuff like that. Obviously, you wanted to get a Mac. So VAIO's on that list. Lenovo, Lenovo's ThinkPad series is just amazingly good. Like, you just wouldn't really choose anything else. If you're in business, that's what I would go for. If money was no object, go for those. I mean, yeah, they cost minimal, about £1,000 upwards, but at the same time they are like just amazing. I mean, I've recently just replaced my ThinkPad only because it was too heavy. It was made in 2007. I got it for 200 quid. It would have cost me £2 grand if I bought it in 2007. 2 gigs of RAM, Core 2 Duo, fantastic machine, built like a brick shit house. I've spilled tea on it. I really have abused it. It's now currently running that monitor you see up behind me, which is now my sort of. It's running Windows 7, Windows 8 as a test. I sort of wanted to get like a temporary display out there to, because I was had to spare one kicking around. I was like, oh, fuck it, I may as well just, you know, geek it up a bit. Anyway, so basically, yeah, sort of VAIO and Lenovo, those two brands make some really good high-end computers. The low end is a bit crap. Which is unfortunate, but that's sort of the nature of it. So brands you definitely want to be looking at, right? HP, I would recommend pretty much to anybody. I wouldn't say, if you're going to go into laptop, I'd say HP, full stop. Careless News Centres. I don't think, apart from one housemate who's had quite big problems with their HP, nobody has ever had problems with HP. We've got a lot of HP's machines at work. We've also got, we use HP servers, we use all sorts of HP goodies, and our new Wi-Fi systems, HP managed and stuff like this as well. And admittedly this is a bit of a different system. I know they're switching over towards more business end stuff, but the consumer end's still really very good, and which is unfortunate, the fact they decided to drop the touchpad, because it had a lot of potential. But anyway, so HP laptops definitely worth looking at. Really cheap, build quality is insane, customer service is pretty good as well, and yeah, the cost, or the amount of money you pay for specs is pretty damn good. Another brand you want to be looking out for is Asus. Now, I haven't had much dealings with it, and most people don't tend to buy it. I know a few geeky friends of mine swear by them, you know, they're fantastic, amazing. I know they have just recently bought out a couple of Ultrabooks, I think the UX1 or something like that, I think it's called, which is essentially a MacBook Air, but it's Windows based and it's cheaper and this, that and the other. So they have brought out a few really, really good things, and the specs are insane, and some of the higher end stuff is on par with VAIOS, to be honest. And then Acer is another brand that I would recommend. Only because now the build quality's switched over towards the HP line of thinking. So before they used to be really cheap and nasty. They're still, well, they're really on par with HP now. So they give you great specs for the price, and well, say great specs for the price. In line with HP, it's a good value. I wouldn't say amazing specs for the price. You know, you don't get Core i5 for 300 quid because that'd just be really silly. But you're getting some really good specs for a reasonably good value. Yeah, so Acer, definitely worth looking at. But I would still, if you're going to go, if you're thinking about Acer, Acer or HP, just go HP all the way really. And that's it as far as brands go. I will just double check my list before I lose any track of that, because yeah, basically that's it. Yeah, these are all my brands that I'm thinking of. So specs then, specs and price actually, because that's why I've got eBuyers page open. So specs. One thing you don't have to ever worry about really in terms of specs, unless you're going to be storing masses and masses of tons of media, i.e. HD video, is hard drive space. Hard drives really don't make a difference anymore because, right, the cheapest one here, cheapest one on eBay is a Core i3, 350 quid, 500 gig hard drive. That is more than any user is probably ever going to need. 500 gigs, that's half a terabyte. Half a terabyte of data. Now, on average, or in my experience, I've seen music libraries about 20 gigs, give or take. You know, some might be 15, some might be 25, some might be 30. But that's when I generally deal with users, when I back up, when I've got to fix people's laptops and this, that and the other. The music libraries tend to be about 30 gig-ish. 20 gig-ish, give or take to 30 gig. You know, my new music library was massive, it was 60 gig, and then plus 40 gigs worth of FLAC. So mine is ridiculously big, but 500 gigs would just give you insane amounts of storage. Most people are going to be using it for word processing and music, and that's it. So hard drives really don't matter. RAM wise, the more RAM the better, and because RAM is so cheap nowadays, if you can get 4 gigs, 8 gigs, whatever, just go for it. The minimum RAM you're ever going to need is 2. If something doesn't come with 2 gigs of RAM, ignore it. Even netbooks, don't ever bother with it because they're not worth. 1 gig of RAM is pointless. Just slow, it's sluggish, especially Windows 7. It just doesn't. It runs, but it doesn't run very well. So, looking at about 2 gig or more, I'd say 4 gig for something to run the most efficient as possible. Obviously 8 gig, I mean, it's fantastic, but 8 gig is sort of kind of like way too much than what you really need. Processing wise, I'm going to suggest, given that you can pick up a Core i3 laptop now for 350 quid, go Core i3. The minimum you're going to be looking for is a dual core processor. Doesn't matter who makes it. It can be a crappy old Celeron from back in the day. It can be a Core 2 Duo from a few years ago, or it can be an i3 or an i5 or i7. i3s are pretty good. They also offload stuff like HD video, so everything's integrated now. I know this is kind of a bit more than most users really want to know, but yeah, for instance, so this Asus laptop, if someone said to me, right, I've got 400 quid to spend on a laptop, what would you recommend? Asus K52F, this is on eBuy's website, laptop Core 2 Duo, Core i3 processor, 2.4 GHz, that probably means nothing, mostly 3 gigs of RAM, more than you'll probably need, 320 gig hard drive, 15.6 inch HD display, DVD drive, webcam and Windows 7. That's all you're going to need. There's nothing else there I'd say, well, you know, this, that and the other. I mean, there's one below it. Let's just have a look at it. What does it look like? It's probably not going to look, you know, amazingly well, but, I mean, to be honest, for that price, it's not bad. So that's sort of what you're getting. That's something that looks like that. Which, to be honest, I don't think it's bad at all. It's not the thinnest in the world, but, I mean, what do you expect? That's what you're getting. So 350 quid that is. I'd say, I'll put a link in the description down below by the way, I'd say if you're looking for a laptop, go and get that. Asus, done, dusted. 350 quid, bargain, I'd say. Fantastic. So I'm just trying to think of other specs that we need to be looking at. RAM, processor, that's it really. And obviously make sure it's got Wi-Fi. To be honest, I wouldn't. If the laptop doesn't have Wi-Fi nowadays, I would suggest it's a ridiculously old model, because nothing, like everything has Wi-Fi now. Everything, literally, even non-smartphones have Wi-Fi. For Christ's sake. So that's that. And pricing, I'd say probably about 400 quid is how much you already want to be spending. And even on the list back here, the list that I was looking at was, well, you get to the bottom, 403. It's an X-Display, Asus laptop. You know, and to be honest, that 350 quid is a damn good steal, and I would definitely pick up one. I might just pick up one because they're damn cheap now. So I want to touch on Macs, because people do ask me, not as much, but they do ask me. So Macs. I'm going to say this: if you have the money, go and get one. So if you have about £1,000 to spend on a laptop, go and get a Mac. Why would you want to do that? Because it's insanely easy to use. The whole reason why you would ever really want to get a Mac is if you were really scared of computers and you didn't want anything to break, and you're worried that that things could get corrupted and stuff like that. Because Macs are insanely easy to use, like so easy to use. You can't break them very much. They seem to work very well. And they're catching up with Windows in terms of product packages and stuff like that you can use. So stuff like Office and Word and things like this work on Macs fine. There's some really funky features in Mac as well, which I'm not going to go over. iTunes works better in Mac because iTunes for Windows is crap. Browsing is like anything else. Pretty much you can use any operating system to browse the web. So you can use Ubuntu, well, you can use Linux, you can use Windows, you can use Christ, you can use anything to browse the internet. You really do not need, if that's what you're going to be doing, I would get an iPad, just get an iPad nowadays, to be honest, because it's insanely easy to use, and because it's got iOS 5 on it, you don't have to worry about it being plugged into a computer, so that's quite good. But anyway, so also another reason why you would get a Mac is build quality, because I think build quality is probably the best. Macs really do sell themselves on build quality, custom services as well. So the three things you pay for when you buy a Mac: build quality, customer service, and ease of use. Those are the three things you actually buy into when you buy the Mac thing. Apart from the fact it's got that nice shiny Apple logo on the back, which most products have, like that, is those three things. Is, say, build quality, customer service. Customer service is ridiculous. I'm just surprised that, like, some people have got like iPhones and stuff like that, they've had problems with them, taken straight into the Apple Store and it's sorted there and then, like no buts or maybes, just done. Fantastic service. So that's what I would recommend if you're thinking about getting a Mac. Also the other question is, I've had, which I might do another video on because it's kind of a bit more complicated, is whether or not to get an Air or whether or not to get a Mac. In all honesty, I can't really give you an honest answer because I don't know whether or not you're going to be... If you're going to use a lot of power, so video editing perhaps, then obviously Mac Pro. If you want to be able to travel a lot, then a MacBook Air. That's pretty much the difference there, because it's lightness. Because they're both well, the MacBook Air's got a Core i3 now, so that's still reasonable. I mean, it's not great, but it's not crap. So, but that's that really. I mean, there's not really much else I can say on it. Other than that, but obviously you're more than welcome to at me on Twitter, which is AzzyChill, all one word. I'll put a thing in the thing down below, and obviously leave a comment down below as well, and you know, maybe post some links of laptops you're thinking about buying and you want some advice on. Apart from that, that's pretty much it. I'm trying to think if there's anything I've lost. I'd say I was a bit crap about the other video. I didn't think it was as good, so that's why I'm thinking I've thought about redoing it. So that's that really. Laptops and bits and pieces. Good to go.